don't you think that would be mostly though confound to probably just books and ephemeral knowledge, or how do I say, spoken words, spoken stories, spoken stuff mainly?
I think for most of history, stories were spoken. Like that's how they were passed on. Because I think the challenge was that you would, even if you did write it down, there was no material that could last longer than 6 to 8 months, or there was nothing that could last across generations. And writing the whole text down was a very painstaking process. Right. So most of it was actually just verbal.
That's crazy, man. Yeah. The adaptation we have towards language is also something really interesting to see. Like that Vsauce video, the monkey thing, the cognitive trade-off. That's also something I really wanted to try. Is there a way to deprive ourselves of language? Is there a way we can easily forget and remember? It was just food for thought almost, just something to think about. But is there a way I can forget slowly? Is there a way I can forget English slowly? And how would you go about that process?
Interesting.
Yeah. I've heard about the story also from, I don't know which book I read, but it's something about this guy unlearning, and it just describes that it's very hard. And he spends a lot of time doing it. But yeah, I would wonder what that's like to completely forget a language that you knew. Yeah. And that's happened before, right? Haven't you heard about these incidences where people have got into accidents and this 10th grade Spanish class that they took has made them just speak fluent Spanish? Like speak fluent Spanish. It's absolutely crazy. Like also this happened to a very relative of mine where this was ages ago. This was a very long time ago.
Yeah.
And I was a kid, and this relative got into a car accident or some kind of accident, and then she completely forgot English, bro, and she could only speak in Kannada. And I've never spoken to her in Kannada before. And when she called me, she would just talk to me in Kannada, and I would be like, I didn't get it at that time, and I didn't understand. I just used to make noises, And that's also interesting because then connecting, she still had that cognitive idea of what a is than a is. That would also be interesting to hear because she knew what I was trying to say at that time, even though the body wasn't involved. Now I can see you and I can say that the is an affirmative one, but then with audio, that would be even more interesting to see what she was feeling. But now she's all right and she can speak. Everything's fine. But at that time, it was really interesting to see that. I mean, to revisit that idea that we can or have this ability to forget. Or maybe it's just like you get hit pretty hard and some part just turns off. I don't know what's going on. Concussion could cause it.
Yeah. In that sense, I feel like there are languages that we can learn that we've forgotten how to learn that are way higher level languages. Like the idea that's represented in Arrival, for example. You've seen that movie?
Mm-hmm. I haven't seen it, but I've heard about it. Yeah.
So basically, the idea is that this is a big spoiler alert for anybody who's watching. But the idea is these aliens land in different parts of the world. They don't know how to talk to these aliens, so they get this one linguist expert that tries figuring this out. And what happens is these aliens, they start teaching her that language. And what they're trying to figure out, the US government, is why are they here? So she starts learning their language. And eventually, different parts of the world are trying to communicate with this alien with different methodologies. And basically, the thing that ends up happening is there's a real field called semasiography, right? Which is, instead of speaking with the idea of words, semasiography is writing with signs. So it's phonetic, but without speech.
Okay.
So it's a language which is just visuals. It's just visuals. So, for example, as I'm telling you the sentence, the sentence is going through the medium of time, right?
Yes.
Like, I can only tell you this much in 1 second, and then it's happening sort of linearly coming out of my mouth, because it sort of lives in the area of time. Versus a visual, there's a chance you can understand it all at once. So it's sort of independent of the domain of time. So what ends up happening is she understands the language, and as she starts understanding her language, she starts seeing visions of the past and the future. Because apparently the language unlocks the dimension of time. So she's living the past, present, and the future at the same time.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So language can inform how you think and how you make sense of the world. And learning languages, there could be advanced forms of languages that we haven't figured out yet that could actually change the wiring in our brain.
Yeah, man. Ooh, for sure. This happened with me. Not the rewiring, but I do believe that learning these different languages does cause you to think in a different way, think more multilingually. To be fair, like you have more ways of expressing yourself. Also, you have more methods of expression. You don't have to stick to this one normal type of thing.
Yeah.
Normal type of language, at least.
It's sort of like you're increasing your vocabulary for expression.
Hold on. Does it stop?
The thing we were talking about, I want to add one more point to that, which is this idea of visual language, right? That can unlock different ways of thinking. Another good example of this is Buddhist mandalas, right? You've seen the diagrams, right? Where it's a representation of the universe. And that diagram sort of encodes so much information into this one image, right? So maybe the way to read it is through, you see it and you understand all of it at once. But we could have lost that ability.
I read this on your Twitter post as well. Even the whole cell diagram thing, right? The cell splitting and that becoming this own type of mandala. Let's say if you structure all those patterns together of cell division. That's also really interesting, because if you look at the process being mapped one on top of the other, then you get the idea of what it's trying to do.
Yeah.
But then if you look at it all individually and you break up the processes, I mean, you're analyzing it in some way and it's a method, but then you're doing it through your language. And if you change the language, maybe you change the mode of analyzing.
True. Which is why it was super interesting when you sent me the emergence video yesterday, right?
Yeah. That video was absolutely...
The way I actually stumbled upon the idea of emergence was, overall, the thing that it implies, the thing you were talking about how you can look at it at different scales, right? Smaller scale or a bigger scale. Emergence is this idea that with complex systems, when they interact and play in different ways, emergent properties can appear that the original building blocks did not have. So, for example, if you look at the cells that make up our lungs, right? Those cells don't breathe. But when they're arranged in that format, a new emergent property appears, which is breathing. Right? So that is sort of a very interesting idea, that you have this collection of... I don't exactly know the best way to describe it, but it's like these emergent properties appear. And when I saw the video of emergence, that was actually a very good visual representation of stuff starting out in a certain coded format and then coming into this bigger thing that had its own sort of patterns to it.
Yeah. It's a really nice video. I don't know how I stumbled upon it myself. I was just working yesterday.
Yeah.
But it's uncanny how it was so synchronous with what you were thinking about. I just sent it as just fun, like, oh, check this out. It's absolutely...
Yeah.
But the emergent behavior, I feel I haven't delved too much into it. I mean, this is the first time you probably told about, or when you said it, I looked at the video again and it was the first time I kind of saw it. I guess maybe I just haven't defined it. Maybe I've seen it before.
Yeah.